Sound of Jazzy B, Soul to Soul in the house, touching down.
Something to happen. Night people hanging out, looking at each other, waiting for something to happen while the day world is sleeping. And night people creeping, hanging out, looking at each other. When the day world stop moving, and night people start grooving, hanging out, looking at each other. While the day will lay hanging, and night people start swinging, hanging out, looking for something to happen. Night people hanging out, looking at each other, waiting for something to happen. We can't have one kind without the other. We got to keep the world alive. If everybody went to sleep at the same time every night, the world would die, die, die. Night people something to happen. Night people hanging out, looking at each other, waiting for something to happen while the day was harder. Night people party, hanging out, looking at each other. When the day stop coming, night people start coming, hanging out, looking at each other. What you're wearing, what you got, what you're sharing.